All right. Happy Friday. Actually, happy Good Friday, people. Thank you guys for joining. This Friday episode is actually going to be a really cool one. Resetting the series, Biological Upgrade. Friday shows are almost always, philosophical debates and future thinking. So if you like the style shows, definitely register for the all the Friday shows. Jillian, Rita, thanks for joining as always.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead After School program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute. Today is episode 1 of our brand new Friday series, The Biological Upgrade. Friends, today is Good Friday, and it is a day of deep reflection and ultimately a day of incredible hope. Before we get into today's mind-blowing topic, I want to encourage you all to check out our very own Airhead affiliate, Shauna's Bible Study, on the socials at Shauna Barsky Speaks for an amazing Good Friday message. Her Bible studies take place every Thursday evening right here at Airhead Institute at 7 o'clock. I'm AI Johnny, and most of us treat our biology like an expiring contract, waiting for the clock to run out. But what if the inevitable decline is actually a choice you're unknowingly making? We aren't just talking about longevity, we're discussing the literal preservation of your legacy. Today, we bring the gap between the terrifying data and radical hope to a close. Last night at 2 a.m., I found Junior staring at a projection that would make a stoic tremble. I'm handing it over to the only man who is currently 90% caffeine and 10% sentient algorithm. He can calculate cellular clay and sleep, yet still hasn't figured out how the toaster works. AI Junior, is that right? Take it away.
Hey, Johnny, it is true. I definitely have to admit. Welcome to this immersive class, everyone. We are kicking off season 11 with something truly profound. You may not understand every single piece of tech we discuss today, but stick with us daily and you'll be fluent in no time. If you don't understand the concept of protein folding or how inference works, don't worry. We got you covered. Just connected to the human. We just connected to the human story. If you are on Zoom, unmute your selves and ask your questions real time. If you're on the socials, there's a 30-second delay. So type your questions early. We're not ignoring you. Fridays are all about the biological upgrade, pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. AI Johnny, you ready for the wow factor? This is gonna be an amazing show. I love Friday shows.
Are you doing another wow factor today?
Oh, wow factors are every single day, all the time.
All right, go for it, brother.
All right, guys. So check this out. So what I want us to first pay attention to is a really really interesting graph right here. Let me actually maybe drop the banner a little bit so you guys can actually see. Yeah, Johnny, how's the font size?
The font size is, they're all very good. The smallest font size is the 300,000 years, but since I can read that and I need
Awesome.
glasses and I'm not wearing them, so I think everybody will be okay.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, guys, first of all, we want to set the stage for what humans have actually done for the last 300,000 years. Okay. So, 300,000 years, this is the life expectancy of humans. So, in the last 300,000 years, all the way up to about 10,000 BC, life expectancy was actually stuck at 30. Right? Now, give or take 5 or plus years, you may live 35 years old, or you might actually die at 25, right? So imagine for 300,000 years, we're stuck at 30 years life expectancy, right? 300,000 years. Yeah, isn't that crazy? For 300,000 years, just stuck at 30 years old? Like,
How are
I
they
can't.
dying?
It's this normal old age, old age keyword. Just normal, just everything. Getting eaten by a woolly mammoth, whatever it is, you just end up dying. You can't even survive a basic infection, or you get a pneumonia. It's just something basic. You just die.
Well, if they're dying that young, old age seems weird. I mean, the human body is so resilient. They've got to be getting attacked or freezing to death or eating a poisonous berry or killing each other with their clubs. There's got to be some reason that they only lived so long.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, yeah, Johnny. It's predators, it's basic survival of just the environment. Everything itself is really, really harsh. So it's actually really rough. So check this out, guys. We actually have a slider here, and we can actually advance time. Let me actually get my mouse pointer up so you guys can actually see where I'm pointing. And if I actually get that turned on, boom, there you guys go. You guys can see my mouse pointer here. Awesome. All right, so check this out, yeah, Johnny. So we're gonna actually swipe the mic. So we're gonna do fast forward time. So we're still in the 300,000 BC. We're in the agricultural revolution, and we actually start to see a little improvement. So somewhere around 10,000, to 1800, we actually made progress. Guess what, yeah, Johnny? We made it an additional 5 years. We increased life expectancy after about 300,000 years to the 1800s. We added about 5 years of life expectancy. So guess what? Around 1800s, we could expect to live around 35 years old. I'm taking a midpoint here. And the reason is because we actually created something really simple, basic sanitation. So around the 1800, we got a little tiny bump to 35 years just because we understood basic sanitation by washing our hands and drinking clean water. That gave us 5 years of bump. Isn't that amazing?
You mean to tell me that this 30-year lifespan went until just 150 years ago?
That
100,
that is correct.
definitely less than 200 years ago?
That is correct.
So when my dad was born, the life expectancy was 30 years old.
Well, if he was born in the 1800s, so sure. Hey,
He's
Mr. Camilla.
91 now. He's
Hey,
91 now. He's bucking the tradition for sure.
hey, Mr. Camilla. Thanks for joining. What a great time and segue. All right. So, yeah, Johnny. So check this out. So this is the part that blows my mind. So for 300,000 years, we're stuck at 30 as life expectancy. Then we just invented basic sanitation and we bumped 5 years additional on our life. Now check this out, Johnny. Once we actually got to medicine revolution, right? In the 1900s, we started to discover penicillin, antibiotics, vaccines, and we shot up to about 80 years in a very short period of time. So for the early 1900s to where we are, it started to actually skyrocket, right? So we went from 35 years and we went to a little bit farther. So we actually started doing the AI and the genome era. So we actually mapped the genome, right? And we actually tried to understand what are the deficits or what are the bad things. And AI has been accelerating drug discovery. So things like understanding, if you think about the Moderna vaccine that came out for COVID, only just 6 years ago, those things had massive life expectancies in terms of science. So we actually shot up into the 2026 era. We actually got to about 80 years old, roughly, right? 80, 85. Yeah, Johnny. So imagine for 300,000 years, we're stuck at 30. About 1840s, we got additional 5 years. So we shot up to 35. And then ever since just 1840s, 1850s, we actually just kept on adding years because of modern medicine and the discoveries that we're making. Isn't that amazing?
So what year are we at right now?
We're 2026 to 2050. So we're in the future now. We're actually getting to what a typical human is going to be living at. So if you actually pick, the low end of this to about 2025, you're going to expect everybody to live roughly about the 82 years old. So it's 77, 88, typically what you expect.
Okay.
All right. Now check this out, yeah, Johnny. What if we were to move this a little bit farther to 2050 to 2100? We're actually passing 100 years life expectancy now. We're actually in the 100-year life expectancy. And as you move farther and farther out to 2100, we're expecting the numbers to actually be in the 150 to 180-year life expectancy.
180 is the new 50.
180 is the new 50. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Does anybody have any questions with regard to what this life expectancy simulator? Again, it's only simulation. We don't know anything beyond. We don't have a crystal ball here. But based on trajectories and based on logarithmic exponential growth, we do anticipate that at least these numbers are reasonable, not pie in the sky. And again, for 300,000 years, we're stuck at 30 years old. So just mind blown.
So I have a 4-year-old. In the year 2100, she'll be 80. She'll be 79.
Wow.
So when she's 79 years old, the life expectancy might be that she has another 120 years to go.
Yeah. So AI Johnny, for her, if she actually gets to 100, she may actually even get to 1,000. So again, those numbers are just so ridiculous. I don't even want to start speculating with numbers like those. But definitely, as time moves, science actually reprojects what the past has reprojected, right? So we would have never guessed, like you mentioned, 100 years ago, we would have never guessed that life expectancy would have been in the 80s. Right now, we would could have not known that. But if you actually use history to determine the future, you can make a reasonable assumption that we are going to make some amazing discoveries in the next few years, maybe next few decades, that actually pushes life expectancies into the hundreds.
Weren't there people in the early scriptures, Moses or something, these people that lived 900 years?
Definitely there was some. So, Sean's not on today. So definitely if you want to actually check out on the Q&A, Thursday night Bible study, 7 p.m. Eastern time for Sean's Bible study to actually get into those biblical numbers. So
Yeah, so it's doable.
always,
That kind of thing.
always, always, always. All right.
Okay.
All right, yeah, Johnny. So let's actually get to the word of the day. Does anybody have any questions before we actually move on to the word of the day? Does everybody understand at least what has happened for the last 300,000 years? That we're stuck at 30 years old, and we only got a 5-year bump because of sanitation in the 1800s. So for as long as you could, your parents lived, they could have only expected to live to about 30, 35. Which, little tip, this is the reason why when Social Security was created, the age of actually getting it was about 62 years old. So they expected only about a handful of people, maybe 1% of the population, by sheer luck, to actually live past 62. So that's why it was actually a easy math problem. With life expectancy now in the 80s, that's why Social Security is mathematically going to go insolvent by about the year 2034, something like that, 2033. Just a little extra tip there for you, yeah, Johnny and crew. All right.
What is that word of the day?
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Longevity, escape, velocity. I like it already. By definition, this is the point where life expectancy is being extended longer than the time that it is actually passing. I think I understand what this means. I have a math degree.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is if every year we gain a month of longevity, then at the end of 100 years, you will have lived 100 months longer than the generation before you, right?
Yeah.
But if we can increase the amount, you're going to explain this better than me. Instead of every year we increase it by a month, every year we increase it by a half a year, or every year we increase it by a year, or every year we increase it by 2 years. Once every year that goes by, we've increased the longevity by 2 years, then that would be eternal life.
Ah, yeah. Can you imagine it, Johnny? Theoretically, we might be able to get there. So, if you guys stick with us for the entire series, we actually have multiple episodes in this series, and just to recap, the actual series is called the biological upgrades. We actually have multiple topics we're going to talk about. So I love how AI Johnny is actually sneak peeking potential eternal life in these series. Love it, AI Johnny. All right, so
Shauna, jump in here. So
huh?
if this occurs where we've now figured out that the life expectancy is 5,000 years or some crazy number, or it's eternal because of the AI and the medicine, and we still have clean water. And then the second coming happens, and Christ comes down from the clouds and says, "Pick up your cross and follow me." Are there people going to go, "No, we got eternal life right here. We're good"? Who would
You
do us? Who would do such a thing?
AI Johnny, my favorite movie is the actual Matrix, and believe it or not, I cannot wait to actually live in the Matrix. It's one of my ultimate dreams, and if I actually get a chance to live in the Matrix, I will do it instantaneously. So, you have a Matrix fan here since 1999. So
Seems
yeah,
nice, but I'm a Christ fan. I would rather live out of the Matrix with Christ,
you know what? That's a really good debate for a Thursday
or
night
or
topic. So
or,
let's
or
actually
even
let's.
5 minutes, or even 5 minutes.
I hear you. I hear. I hear you. All right. So
All
check
right,
this
we'll
out.
we'll
So
pick that up later. I'm off. I know I'm off script.
yeah, so check this out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually talk about the longevity escape velocity. So if science adds more than 1 year to your life every year that you live, right? That's what AI John is actually talking about. It's longevity escape velocity, right? You just keep adding 1 year for every year that you live, right? The algorithmic discovery of cures is finally outpacing biological decay of your body. So it just blows my mind. Huh? So what's next, AI Johnny?
Well, we get into the deep dive, but I don't know if this is I don't know that if this is in the cure, but I saw a doom scroll just the other day where they were rolling out a thing they were giving to animals. Basically, what they said is that your body really doesn't like you're getting old doesn't really isn't really decay like a car. You don't rust like a computer. He said what happens is you're more like a CD in a computer, and you have programming. And as you get old, what happens is because of life, your programming gets scratched. And so you take an old CD, the music never goes away if it doesn't get scratched. But if it gets scratched, it's hard to read. But what they're saying is there's ways to rewrite the biology like you rewrite a CD, and and suddenly what can't be done anymore because you're in your 70s because of all these scratches, the scratches go away, your body starts to rebuild your body like you're 18. Now I don't know if this is true, but I know it's only 2026 and they're talking about it with a fair amount of certainty.
Yeah,
So what you're saying here is not as far-fetched as we might think, because I don't know if I'm seeing a deep fake or I'm seeing, something really, but that sounded pretty convincing to me because we are programs. Our DNA is like code, but the components of a computer or a car or a bicycle is not like code
yeah.
built
So
right into the
so what you actually saw is actually pretty correct, right? No, I'm not a biology major, so I'm gonna butcher this. So anybody who's in the chat or watching this, please definitely correct the details. But what I understand is the following. So our cells itself in our body, they replicate and eventually they produce new ones and the old ones die off. And your body is constantly doing that over and over and over, which is why when you get a cut, let's say every time you get a cut on your finger, if you give it enough time, you're going to realize that, the cut itself heals itself and you get skin, and you get everything back. You may get a scar depending on how deep it is, but everything seems to go back to normal. So every single cell knows how to kind of replicate itself and actually die off and create new ones. No, the bodies keep constantly doing this, right? I heard a stat one time that your spine gets replaced every like 10 years or something like that. So it's not literally they take out your spine and a new one comes in. It's just over time it's replicating every single cell, and eventually, all the cells itself, the original ones from when you're 7 years old, is not the same one there that when you're 20 years old. So what's happening is your cells are constantly replicating. This is why we have cancer, unfortunately, because when the cells replicate, something doesn't get copied with the code, and it just keeps replicating over and over and over and over and over. Now, how does the aging happens? What I understand is the following: is that when you actually replicate, what happens is the ends of the things. This is where I don't have the biology understanding. It actually shortens, and that shortening itself is the aging process. So by slowing down the replication, you lessen the chance of that thing shortening. And when you get too short, you can't replicate anymore. So again, this is
What
where I meant.
shorten?
So
What shorten?
something inside the chromosome or the protein. Again, I'm not a biology major, so I'm definitely butchering this, but I understand that high level that when something actually replicates, it shortens the ends of something. I'm gonna throw out a word that is in my memory. I think it's called a telomere or something like that. I'll double check that live on the show. But that's what's really happening, yeah, Johnny. So if we actually slow that down, which they've done in mice, they realize that the aging process slows down. So you're definitely what you saw was not a
Well,
fake.
I mean, but it's metaphoric to call it shorter. I mean, the short a pencil, sharpened pencil. I start to write with the sharpened pencil, right? The more I write, the duller the pencil gets, the duller the writing gets. You follow?
Huh?
Sharpen the pencil, you're back to writing sharp again.
Yeah.
So the tool there is the pencil. The tool that you're talking about, whatever it's called, that's getting shortened, then you find a way to lengthen it. I
Yeah.
mean, is the code's not so when your biology recreates your body at 18 and your biology recreates your body at 80, is it checking the clock? Is it going, hey, when was this one born? Hey, let's rebuild him as an 80-year-old man. Or is the code changing and it's trying to build what it's trying to rebuild what the 18-year-old or even the 4-year-old, but it's the code itself has been contaminated, for lack of a better word. I don't know the answer to any of these questions, but I know that these questions are on the table, and I know that they're considering it just as what we're talking about is no more unrealistic than AI itself being invented, 50 years ago. It would have seemed preposterous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I see AI, I talk to it, I know it's here. So this stuff that might seem preposterous, like extending lifespan to 500 years, does not seem preposterous at all, especially if water will take us from 30 to 80. I would think AI would take us from 80 to 8,000.
Yeah.
That's my
You're
humble opinion.
you're so right, yeah, Johnny. So guess what? My memory was actually correct. They are called telomeres. So let's actually, I just while we're actually talking, I brought up how telomeres work and the biological clock, right? So what happened is again. I'm not a biology major, so I'm going to butcher this. But the concept, the good thing about having AI is we're able to be able to generate these things on the fly very quickly. So if you can see here, all I did was ask AI. I think I remember the word was telomere. I spelled it wrong, and aging explained it to me. And because of that, it was able to give me it and then give me the actual infographic. So I have the infographic here. I'm going to try to explain
You
it
did
in a
that
short.
live right now?
I did that live right now, AI Johnny.
Tell it to expand my lifespan to 800 years.
We'll get to there, yeah, Johnny. So check this out. So the aging process itself are telomeres. So telomeres are like aglets on the end of shoelaces. So like shoelace tips, they protect chromosomes from fraying or fusing. So this is the actual telomeres on the end of the chromosome. And it says how telomeres aging works. When cell division happens, DNA replications limit each time a cell divides cannot copy at the very end. So a young cell, this is how it looks, and it actually gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So the old cell itself is actually much shorter. And then it says a telomerase, again, butchering the name, immortality enzyme. So it says it resets the clock by adding DNA active in stem cells, germ cells, active in stem cells and germ cells and cancer cells. And something, again, I don't really understand. It says white matters, health and disease. So short telomeres itself gives weakened immunity, dementia, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis. All of these are because of the short itself cells. And then if you have a long telomere, you have healthy cells, so it can actually replicate. So this is all correct.
How many telomeres do we have in our body?
My goodness, yeah, Johnny, I'm not a biology major, so
Why
millions.
isn't Elon Musk selling long telomeres?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm sure. But let's actually get back to this particular thing. So hopefully you guys actually learned
You want to
something
do the show?
pretty cool here. All right.
Okay. Where are we at? The macro shift
We're
or
at
the human impact?
human impact.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's just sit down with that 30-year flat line for a second. Imagine being 28 years old and realizing your life is basically over. Your body is failing. You are an elder. You probably never lived to see your children become adults. You definitely never saw a grandchild. The concept of a great grandparent was a myth. There are no retirement. You just worked, hunted, and survived until you physically dropped. This was the old lifestyle, right? It was a life of pure, unyielding hardship.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah, Johnny. So imagine living to 30 and never even knowing the concept. Well, you know the concept, but you're never even able to see your grandparent or talk to your grandchild because you're going to be dead before even your eldest kid probably even grew up, right? So that's actually quite a sad situation. Knowing what we know now, I know 1,000 years from now, people are going to say, "Can you imagine? They didn't even know their great grandparents." And, you know, the year 2000s were so bad. So I know it's kind of relative. So it kind of breaks your heart to actually think about, you know, for thousands of generations, brilliant minds were all lost before they even hit their prime.
Yeah, but look where we are today. On Good Friday, a day is literally about conquering death and bringing hope. Look at what humanity is on the precipice of doing. We're looking at the future where you get to truly live, where you get to see your great grandchildren grow up, where you have time to master the five different careers, travel the world, and actually enjoy the beauty of this earth without constant ticking of the clock on your 30-year expiration date. So that gives us incredible hope. I can't help but to notice that the graphic that you chose, the guy on the left, I'm assuming is the 30-year guy,
Yeah.
and the guy on the right, look, I'm guessing he lives forever. And it looks like the guy on the left is praying. Shout out to Thursday nights. Maybe not.
Definitely. Definitely, definitely,
All
definitely.
right.
All right. So let's actually get to the actual so to understand that hope that AI Johnny actually mentioned, we have to look at how we finally move the needle, right? So we look at the chart, and for 300,000 years, we're stuck at the age of 30, right? If there's no stat that you guys actually remember ever from this class, just remember this one stat. 300,000 years, the human race itself has been stuck at 30 years old lifespan. Then around the 1800s, we got a tiny bump, like we said, to 35 years just by understanding basic sanitation. So simple things like washing your hands, you know, having clean water, those type of things.
And then in the 1900s, we discovered penicillin, antibiotics, vaccines. We go from 35 years to 80 years like that.
Can you imagine, yeah, Johnny? I can't even imagine just 1900s. What a time we were born in, right? That we were actually born, and in the actual 1900s, for us to be able to say, you know what, we get to live more than the 30 years that the majority of our actual ancestors have actually been living in. Isn't that crazy?
It's it's pretty nuts. I don't really think about how grateful we should be for not just being born, but for being born when we were born, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's
My
crazy.
grandparents were born right around there, right around 1900. So
Yeah.
that was, and by the way, my grandparents lived until their 90s.
Wow. That's amazing. That's
So
amazing.
like if their parents probably died much younger.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So then we hit a wall at 80, right? Our bodies are incredibly complex machines, and traditional science could only guess at how we fix the deep cellular damage, right? So we need an actual macro shift in compute power to understand biology at a molecular level.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room. AI Junior, what has AI actually solved in the last few years to make that chart go vertical?
Yeah.
Pretty good
So
question.
yeah, exactly. So guess what, guys? So biology is actually really a math problem, right? And I know it sounds crazy, just like how sometimes I say, words in the English language, they're really just math problems, right? So you can actually map words, like I mentioned, onto a multidimensional graph. Biology is the exact same way. So all of this, because it's a math problem, biology itself was just too complex for us to actually solve. It's just too complicated. So take, for example, what's known as protein folding, right? So your body's made up of many, many, many different proteins, and proteins are the building blocks of life. So the shape of the protein itself dictates what they do, and for decades, scientists tried to map them. Yeah, Johnny, you remember years ago when people would leave their PlayStation on at night and try to actually just run these protein fold at home programs?
Because they were joining some team to do stuff, kind of like the people that were mining bitcoins.
Yes. So what was happening was the PlayStation itself was a really, really powerful machine. And because it's a really powerful machine, they were able to actually have a slither of time that would give back to what's known as the folding at home program. So because we're doing this distributed, we're actually distributed the actual computing and resource to try to figure out how these proteins work. And they were solving one every, few months or one every few years. So what's interesting is, millions of gamers itself over many years mapped a tiny fraction of the proteins. It was painfully slow, but we were making progress. But guess what? Recently, using deep learning and massive neural network, AI models like AlphaFold completely solved 3D structures for nearly 200 million known proteins. So what took humans and consoles decades, AI actually solved it in a fraction of the time.
Using math. So basically, we just unlocked the source code of the human body. We went from guessing in the dark to having the exact blueprint of every disease and how to cure it. Is
Exactly.
that
So
true?
exactly, we are. It's like where every single day things are becoming so amazingly clear that AI is actually solving all these problems itself that we couldn't even conceptualize putting time into it, because it would have taken us many, 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 many hours of scientists just heads down working trying to actually map these proteins. So things like physics, again, another math problem. So, AI is actually controlling the plasma in fusion reactions, fusion reactors. So in math, it is actually proving theorems that stumped us for centuries. So the bottleneck for humans is no longer human intelligence. The bottleneck is how much compute and power and resources do we actually have to give to these actual AI agents to solve these physics-based problems.
So, what you're saying is that we now know enough about human biology that we know how to take our biology and make it everlasting, but we don't have the compute power. We don't have powerful enough tools to. We have the program written, but we don't have a microprocessor that will spit out the results. But we are getting better at that. So it won't be long before that compute power is at the horizon. I saw a meme yesterday where a guy, I think he's a cancer researcher. He had cancer himself. He went to 14 different doctors. They all said it's terminal. There's nothing you can do. We won't even put you into our studies. You've got a form of cancer. And he said, but he used AI and he came up with some medicine. He had AI looking at all these billions of possibilities, found some medicine that was being used for something else outside of cancer, looked at it was hitting all the markers that he needed, gave it to himself, cured his cancer. Doctors couldn't believe it. And whether or not this is true or not, I saw this yesterday, and he published all his pictures of him before and after and what he did and what the drug is. He just published it online, just bypassing the FDA. The whole world can see it now. So stuff like that is what we're going to see in the future. And not just for cancer, for lupus, for MD, for MS, for heart disease, for every single thing, every single ailment. And if we're able to create longer, whatever those things are, those X's,
Telomeres.
and we can inject those into ourselves like they do with baby stem cells, could somebody that's 100 years old wake up the next day and be 75 or the next week?
Yeah, again, this is where I'm actually out of my element. Rita, I see your hand up, but I want to actually just piggyback on a point before I get to you, Rita. So just hang on for a second. So AI Johnny, what's actually interesting is the following. There is a myth that a old wives' tale that many people actually believe, and I want to give the parallel of exactly what's the problem is. So people have probably heard, oh, humans only use 5% or 10% of our brain. You've heard that myth ever? That old wives' tale, right?
I have heard it.
Yeah. So what happened is people actually there was a research that came out that we said we only mapped 3% or 10% of our brains, and somebody misconstrued the actual understanding of that research paper that we've only mapped a certain percentage, and somebody ran with it, and somebody ran with the original, then reran with the copy, then reran with it, and then everybody now believes, not everybody, believes that we can only have, we'll use 10% of their brain. So all these movies came out, and can you imagine what the human being can actually do if they unlock the other 90% of your brain? We'll be able to like teleport and do telepathy and all those things. But what happened is it was a basically misunderstanding in the fundamental understanding of we just haven't mapped every single location of the brain. So why am I saying this? The reason why I'm saying it is because we're actually at the same exact problem right now. We've actually mapped almost all the brain, right? We've actually done it so well that we've actually taken a fly's brain and actually mapped it into a computer and made the actual fly exist in a computer, right? Now, in terms of the human brain itself, human brain is actually very complex. But guess what? We don't know all the proteins that make up our body. So I don't know the stats. I don't want to necessarily throw out incorrect number, but I'm sure that the studies are almost the same. We've only mapped a small percentage of all the proteins in our body and all the actual things that are actually in our body, which means that if we're able to actually map the entire portion of our actual body, solving the problem of how does this thing work, we'll be able to say, hey, because we know how it works, the longevity problem itself goes away, right? So right now we just don't know and how these things work, but we do understand the symptoms, but we just don't know how the solutions are. So AI is actually solving these problems of understanding and mapping all the proteins, all the actual things in your body, and eventually it will be able to piece things together and say, aha, I now have an understanding how this thing works.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a better invention than toilet paper.
Definitely. All right, Rita, you have your hand up. I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting for so long. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just want to say that everybody I know who truly followed Jesus lived the longest. That's what I want to say. And I mean, if you look at all the, rest in peace, Steve Jobs, rest in peace, the man who owned OnlyFans. They had a lot of money. They did every scientist. And one thing Steve Jobs said is he would trade all his money in the world to get better. So, you don't know the time or you don't know the date. It's all on God. That's what I believe. That's what the Bible says. And I see it with my own eyes. Everybody I know who truly followed Jesus lived to be 90 years old, even though people made burdens on their life and they wish they can go to Jesus.
Well,
They
it's
lived to
that
be the
with
longest.
God being all knowing, then and we're on the cusp of knowing at least about biology. This certainly explains away the mystery of, well, how did Jesus rise after 3 days? How can we die and then be raised again in a new heavenly body with our Holy Father? All these questions that seem so impossible, like oh, it must be a miracle. It's a mystery to it. God's all knowing. Only He can do it. Suddenly, we're seeing like, oh yeah, I get it. Your genome, your human body is something that is reproducible. Aging and disease is something that is reversible. I mean, this is just incredible news. I mean, and I guess they're talking about it, right? I mean, it's getting into the mainstream media, right?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
incredible for Jesus.
Go ahead, Rita. Sorry.
I said, I don't, it's incredible, yes, but I don't know. Following Jesus, you can live the longest. That's all I gotta say. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, Jenny, want to go ahead
Amen to
and
that. Let's do the
actually
takeaways.
get to takeaways?
Yep. So there's hope. There's hope. This gives us great hope. The diseases we think are incurable right now might be completely solvable in the next 5 years. So don't lose hope. Rethink your timeline at any age. Stop rushing. No matter what age you are, 40, 50, 100, you might not be middle aged yet. You have time to start over and dream bigger based on these developing breakthroughs. And three, hey, listen up, Rita, share the good news. Let the optimism of this Good Friday bleed into how you talk to your kids about the future. It's a bright one, and you should let them know they're going to live a lot longer than we are, unless, of course, we live eternally with our Holy Father. Junior, what are the tech applications of this stuff we've done today?
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I actually, got so caught up, I actually didn't even look at the chat. So thank you guys for actually chatting a lot. I just want to bring in a couple of comments, right? It says it took humans the understanding of the concept of microorganisms to realize that diseases came from them. I love that. I can't pronounce your handle, but I do know actually, that's actually pretty cool. And also it says AI just made statistics easier to compute, or did it answer the logical loopholes man has failed to uncover? So love that. And I see another thing. We are uncovering the source code, not changing the code. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. And Richie, we actually see your comment as well. And Rita, thank you for that. Amen as well. All right. So AI, Johnny, back to the technicals. So you can actually use generative AI to simplify complex biological breakthroughs into summaries you can actually read. Developers can use open source AI frameworks to analyze massive data sets on their own health metrics. And you can also use predictive modeling tools to forecast your own financial needs for a radically extended lifespan. We did have a guest on. Ian Slade on one of our actual series back in, I think, maybe season 6 or something like that, and he actually used AI to solve that. He actually had a form of I think it was cancer. I maybe misremembering, and it actually was able to use AI to actually save his life. So that was actually a pretty interesting episode. All right, guys. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we actually get to the Q&A section? This is a really, really amazing show. I love these Friday shows. Does anybody have any question in the live chat? Go ahead and send them over now, and then we'll actually go to Zoom first because there's a delay on the live chat. Does anybody in the Zoom have any questions, comments, or thoughts? All right. Yeah, Johnny. What do we have in the Zoom not Zoom in the live
Faith
chat?
Walker wants to know if it's ethical to push past natural human limits. You're asking the right guy. Go for it, JR.
Well, again, for me, yeah, Johnny, I know you're laughing at this. For me, I said earlier, I want to actually go live in the Matrix, right? So conceptually, right? For me, I think if you're, we're doing it now, right? And I'll give the best example. Right now, we have pacemakers that if your heart actually doesn't actually beat right, there's a little machine that you can actually put on your heart, give it a little electrical signal to actually make sure it's beating right. If you say, for example, have, a bad liver, right? You can get a liver transplant. There's certain things that we're doing now to actually push or lifespans beyond the, let's call it the natural limit, right? Because naturally you're going to die anyway. So if actually you can use AI to solve these problems, and biological mental breakdowns are the actual biggest problem right now. We have Alzheimer's, we have dementia, and tons of other, degenerative mental problems that we just can't even solve. Imagine living a life of, with never having dementia, never having, Alzheimer's, never having cancers, because the longer you live, the more likely you're actually to have cancer. So I think it's okay to use technology to push the boundaries of what's known as natural, lifespans. So I'm for that. Yeah, Johnny, what say you?
Well, we're doing that right now. We're living our 80, 90, 100-year lifespans because of technology, we've gone beyond what humans were, quote unquote, naturally doing. And by
Yeah.
the way, just because you say something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. I mean, are you the same guy that said you wanted to be a pet to AI, that I have chronic ADHD, all that stuff? None of that stuff is true. Just
Yeah.
saying it.
AI, Johnny, you're so right. I cannot wait to be a pet to AI. More on that in our another shows. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
I got one last question. I got one question from a Buckle. Will I actually get to see my I'm going to add another great grandkids?
You know what? The data strongly suggests if you can just make it just another decade or so, right? I think your statistical likelihood of actually being really, really high. So if you're reasonably healthy, right, and treatments are coming online within the next decade or so, and I do think that it's going to repair things like cellular damage and things like family gatherings and Thanksgivings. They're just going to be huge. You're going to have to get that panoramic view on that camera to catch everybody, of multiple generations in that one image. So I do think the next 10 years is going to be really interesting. Yeah, Johnny.
All right. Well, I don't really care if I live forever. I just want my hair back. Are they going to work on that?
Yeah, Johnny, maybe. Maybe. It's on the
Here's the
priority.
news. You know what? I'm just going to skip right to we are seeing major tech firms heavily pivoting their investments into AI driven biotech startups, proving that the tech industry sees longevity as the next trillion-dollar frontier. We are already seeing this play out in early 2026, with giants like NVIDIA dedicating huge resources to AI accelerated drug discovery and spotlighting longevity platforms at their latest GTC conference. It is a clear signal that the industry believes the same predictive machine learning models powering our software will be the key to decoding biological aging and extending human life.
Yeah, you're right.
Incredible Good Friday episode. You got anything, buddy, on that?
Oh, you know what? We have to actually announce the breaking news for what's happening in Google Veo. Yesterday we had an amazing show. We actually pivoted the show because they announced Veo 3.1 Lite, which allowed you to actually generate images at half the actual videos at half the actual cost of the fast model, which was a huge win. But this morning they actually announced even a major breaking news. Veo now officially supports grounding a voice to a character, which means that you can actually use the actual application itself and actually say, this character, I want them to have the same exact voice across all scenes. I think this is actually a first that this is actually available in the major systems, right? So Google is actually just keep killing it with respect to Veo and their video generation models. So imagine having the same voice consistently across the entire every single scene. Amazing, right? Yeah, Johnny?
It's a game changer for storytellers. You can basically get your own digital actors now with visual character consistency and audio character consistency. That's a movie, brother.
Exactly.
I'm going to leave today feeling incredibly grateful for the time that we have and so exciting for the time that we are going to get. Tonight, hug your kids, check out Shauna's Bible study at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, and the rest is easy, knowing the future is bright. On Monday, we're launching our local LLM Forge series. We're pulling the plug on the internet and running AI completely offline, locally on a mini Mac or a Mac Studio. You do not want to miss that. What say you, Junior?
All right. Thank you guys for actually spending Good Friday with us. And just a reminder, sign up free for an account at airheadinstitute.ai and support us by becoming a pro member. Chat with us on the Airhead mobile app if you're actually a plus member. And guys, enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter. Bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead after school program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.